I am super excited to have three professionals from the events world as part of this panel today. Alanna is from the Fifth Third Ballpark and West Michigan Whitecaps, Mary from Chase Creative, and Keri, owner of Special Occasions Michigan. And so I wanted to bring these folks together so that we could have a discussion around the event world and what's going on in unprecedented times with shelter in place and only essential workers out in the world right now. And so I'm very intrigued to just hear how y'all are, seeing the world, interacting with the business world on a daily basis. So my first question is actually for Keri. So I'm curious, how did the last 3 weeks, how did it kind of come into your inbox and into your world? And how has it affected your day-to-day, life thus far from a business perspective?
Our industry, we are in event rentals. So we do everything events. We work with large corporations. We work with individuals to plan any sort of event, from a small baby shower to an in-home gathering to a large black tie gala to conventions. So anything and everything in between. And obviously, everything got put on a hold. It happened quite quickly, and we were finding that everyone was ready to take a pause even before the governor did decide to put those restrictions into place. And so we have seen that a lot of our clients have postponed and or canceled their events. So at this point, we're on a complete standstill. We're encouraging a lot of our clients and people in the community to postpone, not completely cancel, but just to look and to take this time of pause to really develop new ideas and get creative with how we can continue socialization and gathering without socializing and gathering.
Excellent. Well, it's obviously I've known you the longest out of all the folks on the call today, and I know we worked together quite a few times. So I'm very intrigued by the fact that you do everything from small to massive black tie galas in multiple locations. So my next question is for Alanna. Same question to you is you are in the world of, you have a specific venue that you're trying to facilitate events at. How did this kind of walk in the door for you, and how has it affected day-to-day business, other than being at home, right? Like we all are right now. So I'm just curious about your perspective from a venue point of view.
Yeah, so when the initial mandates came down, we took those under advisement, and we made adjustments for each individual event that was booked with us. Now, we have two components to the ballpark. We have our baseball games, our Whitecaps home games, and then we utilize the facility for other events, company picnics, meetings, weddings, you name it, however they want to use it, beer fest, concerts, all kinds of fun stuff. So we took it upon ourselves in the very early stages to allow those event planners or clients to make a decision if they wanted to still hold their events. And that was, again, early on when the restrictions came down, when it was 250 and then it dropped down to 100. We were within those parameters, but we kind of worked with the planner to see if they wanted to still continue their event. There was a handful of them that we did, and then once the mandate came down, we shut everything down. So we have postponed or canceled all events through May 8th at this point. In terms of the baseball side, we're really dictated by what Major League does, which trickles down to minor league, and then obviously us. So nothing's been set with Major League. We don't know when they're starting, which means minor league doesn't know when they're starting. And so once we can get that piece of the puzzle figured out, then we can go in and figure out what we're doing with all of our other events. So it may be a situation where we're not playing baseball, but if the bans have been lifted, we can still hold events. But again, it's a wait and see as we go.
Yeah. So Mary, same question to you. I mean, your company does event design, and you build out stages and all kinds of great stuff around Michigan. I'm curious how this kind of walked in the door for you guys, and what you're seeing on an ongoing basis here over the last few weeks.
Yeah, coincidentally, I was actually at our office at the Lansing Center when when everything just started to go nuts, and this big convention center, of course, the middle of the state, and it was just like phone calls and emails left and right coming in. Like everybody was unsure, unclear, didn't know how to proceed, but it started to trickle down that it was cancellation after cancellation after cancellation. Like Keri said, we are hoping that most of those, and expect most of those, to rebook. But as I've been hearing from these meeting planners and from the venues that we work with, that's getting difficult because, of course, space is getting gobbled up. Everybody's looking to reschedule, say, for the summer or the fall, and they were already group scheduled during that time. So we're having to deal with that. But yes, I believe all of our events for March were canceled. April is mostly all canceled. May is kind of still up in the air. Mostly what I'm seeing right now is people are like, June is it. We're going to restart everything in June. So that's hopefully the light at the end of the tunnel.
For sure. So I'm curious, Alanna, for you, as you look at the world that we are in right now, what do you think the future of events hold? I mean, obviously, like you said, you have two components. You've got baseball, but then you also have these events, which I know that's your role at the ballpark, is all the outside events. What do you think the world of events holds over the next, first maybe think 90 days and then maybe think the next year? I'm just curious what your perspective is.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a little slow go. I think we're going to be backloaded into the third and fourth quarter. I think people are going to give some distance with this before they jump in it. But on the same token, people are hungry to meet face to face. There's only so much you can do with video conferencing. And while it's great and we can still see faces, people need that human interaction. And I think that will be the driving force moving forward, is that human connection. Gotcha.
So short term, in my world, I look at it as there's going to be I break the world into thirds right now. There's going to be 1/3 of people that are like, get me out of the house. I want to be around people. And then there's going to be the other end of the pendulum is going to be, I'm staying home for the next year because I'm worried about all the news of health issues. And then there's a third that are going to kind of be in the middle of, some are going to go out, stay home. Is that how you're seeing the world too right now?
Yeah, I mean, there are those people that are going to be cautious. And to be honest, it's not like this is going away on April 13th or May 1st or whatever the day is. It is still going to be out there along with all of the other diseases that are there. It's just we need to have our healthcare system have enough time to find vaccinations and drugs to help combat it, as they have done with other diseases. So it's, while people are hungry, I do agree. I think some people are going to be very cautious and not go out. I think other people will be like, okay, but here are my parameters that I'm willing to go out. And then there's going to be other people who are like, yeah, whatever, let's do it.
Keri, how do you see, again, 90 days and then maybe a year from now, how is your business kind of framing operations in the world right now?
Sure, that's what we talk about every single day. It's an interesting scenario because we have a lot of weddings that we work with, a lot of brides, and of course they still want to get married and they're still looking for dates. And so on our end, we are really teaming up, or we're expecting that all of a sudden we're going to have a whole bunch of weddings all over the place on every single day, and we're going to try to accommodate all of them. And so it's going to be putting our business in a really interesting position because of course we're going to want to accommodate every single one of them and make sure that we have the workforce that can accommodate that. And on another note, Mary and I have actually been in contact this past week because some of her clients are getting creative, like, how do we still have our fundraisers? And same with our clients. We have a lot of clients that do fundraising events and we want to provide those rental products for them. And so we're encouraging them to get creative with what that looks like. And so Mary and I we're putting our heads together for some of the clients out there of how they can get creative and still stay at home and still celebrate. And I'm sure Mary will touch on that. I'll let her talk about that a little bit. But yeah, I think it's just going to look a little bit different. I anticipate that some of our events may scale down a bit. But I don't anticipate that a lot of them will cancel altogether. I really, really don't. We still have a lot of clients that are continuing to call us and say, okay, we're still holding stuff. We're just looking for a date. And, you know, human nature, like we gather, we enjoy socialization, we enjoy celebrating and events. And so we're looking forward to the end of the tunnel here. And it may be a long way to get there. But we're just trying to gear up and like trying to take it day by day so that we can be ready for once things turn around.
Yeah, so it's interesting to hear both of you say. So Alanna, would you say similar to Keri that some things are canceling, but not most, right? Percentage wise. It's interesting to me because that's the drumbeat that I keep hearing from almost every business, not just events, but even manufacturing. Like people are just pushing stuff off for new projects and that type of scenario. So it's almost in my world, it's like, okay, yeah, we're seeing a dip in the economy right now, and yep, lots of folks are going to file for unemployment, and they're going to get lots of help from the stimulus package that's going to get passed. But it's almost like we're going to come out at the end of the tunnel, like you're saying, and it's going to be even better because it's going to be, instead of just having one wedding in a weekend on a Saturday, you're going to have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday all of a sudden. So it's going to be crazy. So Mary, I would love to hear from you. Like Keri just mentioned, you guys have been connecting about how are you getting creative? So the next 90 days, now between now and 4th of July, and then maybe the next year, how is that, looking in your world right now?
Yeah, it's interesting because the summer for my company is usually quiet. It's, we work with companies and associations that everybody goes on summer vacation. So for one thing, I see our summer being a lot more busy than it normally is in any other year. But yeah, some of the interesting things that we're seeing, like Keri touched on, of course, our clients are asking us about doing live streaming, either turning their event into a live stream instead of doing it in person or adding it to their event. The particular one that Keri was talking about is for a school. So they're thinking about turning their event into a live stream instead of having it, live audience kind of thing. And they still need to be able to get donations and pledges. And so of course, everything we're talking about, making it all electronic, all digital, that's one of the aspects, or one of the ideas is to move everything to, sort of this digital format. And then moving forward, I think because we have touched on live streams so much during this time with everybody working remotely and moving their events, like I said, digital, I envision that happening or being added on to events in the future. Like I imagine people will still want to have those in-person events, like you were saying, Alanna. They're still going to want to be face-to-face and have that human interaction, but I see the value in adding live streaming to expand their audience so that more people can be reached that may still want to be home or couldn't make it otherwise. So not to say that that's a 100% solid prediction. You never know. People might go back to the way things have always been and just be happy with it. But I think that because it has sort of entered their minds as another possibility, it's something that we could see moving forward.
So Alanna, I would love to ask you next. Do you think that the event world has changed, have changed permanently going forward? And I asked that question came to mind because of thinking about the concept of social distancing and the seats in your baseball stadium. After having watched a press conference at the White House and realizing that there's 4 seats between every reporter right now, because of social distancing, I thought to myself, does that mean we're never going to have stadiums fill up again? And so I'm curious, what's your perspective on, has the event world changed permanently going forward?
From that respect, I think in the short term that will happen, and I think people will be spaced out like that. But long term, I think people will naturally gravitate back to their old ways. And so I think stadiums will be full. I think people will still go to concerts and stand shoulder to shoulder singing their favorite tunes. It's just going to take some time to get there. Now, in terms of meetings and events and the design portion of it, I do think that is changed. I'm seeing a lot more collaboration going on between different organizations, different groups, just as Keri and Mary talked. I mean, they may not have worked together before, but because of the situation we're in now, they're collaborating. And so new ideas are coming out. So I think the way events are going to look in the future are definitely going to be different from that standpoint.
Keri, how about yourself? Thoughts on, do you think that the event world has changed permanently moving forward? Or do you think, like Alanna said, people will gravitate back to their old habits in the future?
Um, I I agree with Alanna. I think, right now we're having a hard time getting people to social distance, even though all of this is happening. Um, I mean, we see our neighbor and my husband's like, whoa, whoa, so we're social distancing, and she comes in for a hug. I mean, come on. So I just see us as our human nature. We like to be around people. There is something to say for being together and human touch. And that has always been important in our lives. I think that we will gravitate back to that. I really do. I think it'll take some time, but I think we'll get back to that.
Mary, how about yourself? You think the event world has permanently changed, or as the other two have said, we're going to gravitate back to how things were?
Yeah, I have to say I tend to agree that we're going to gravitate back, because I agree with what Keri just said, is that we want to be with people. There's it's like when you go to a theater show. When you go to a theater show as opposed to watching a TV show at home, like when you're there in person, it's totally different, or a concert or something. It's different when you're part of the audience, and it feels more, you feel more connected. It feels more real in some way. So yeah, I would see us returning to those live events, full audience, like Keri said. Again, from my perspective, maybe some of the technology changes, but I do feel like people are just going to want to be back in that room together.
So, Keri, I would love to know blessings in disguise through all of this chaos in the last handful of weeks for your business. Talk about that.
I think people sometimes have to have some things taken away from them to essentially appreciate them. It just feels that way. And there have been some weeks where I've said, good Lord, could I just erase everything off from my calendar and just be at home with my family? And I have that. And now look at what I'm wishing for, more things on my calendar. And so I think it allows everyone an opportunity to stop and slow down and really appreciate how we can celebrate. Sometimes you forget how important those celebrations are, whether it be a wedding or a baby shower or a church gathering or just an extended family dinner. Those things can be really beautiful and filled with joy. And once you don't have them, it makes it easy to see how important they are in your lives. And so if nothing else, we can take this time to just appreciate the smaller things and look forward to the celebrations that we have coming up.
Yeah, it is interesting. My in-laws are in their mid-70s, and my mom's actually a home health nurse, so she's on the front line seeing patients right now. And so they have both decided to just self-quarantine. So to go see them is social distancing 10 feet in the driveway, and just pulling up to a family home, my in-laws, my parents' home, and then realizing I can't go inside right now. Like that moment of it's emotional. The idea of, wow, this is absolutely insane to think, how can when are we going to be able to have dinner again? I love how you say it. So I appreciate that perspective. Alanna, how about yourself? Blessings in disguise through this whole process over the last few weeks?
Yeah, much like Keri, I was in the same boat about I've got too much on my plate. Like, give me some sort of opportunity to just breathe. And this is allowing us to do that by clearing all the unnecessaries out of our lives. I think we've been able to reevaluate, is this meeting really worth it in terms of with coworkers? Or can it be done quickly over an email? Is it taking up too much time? Kind of reevaluating that, but also I'm seeing a lot more collaboration within our staff. Working on, we've always been focused in our particular departments, but I'm seeing a lot of cross-departmental working together, creating ideas. How can we still keep the Whitecaps name in front of folks without being too weird during this time? So just having some fun with it, which is we're all about. We're in the business of fun, so that's what we do. And you know, we're doing some fun things as a staff. We have happy hours by departments. We're switching the departments around so that we're going to do those every few days. HR is sending out a who am I on the employees, and it's a list of 10 things that the employee answered, and we have to guess which employee it is. So we're having some fun with it, getting to know each other through all of this. So it's really dialing back and figuring out who we are and what we are is what we want out of life, and kind of getting back to those core roots.
Love it. That's great to hear that you guys are engaging employees. I mean, employee engagement is something I hear from when I photograph events or was photographing events on stage again and again and again and again. You know, employees aren't engaged, employees aren't engaged, employees aren't engaged. And it's great that you guys are engaging your employees in a meaningful way that helps people connect in a time when connection is so needed. So Mary, how about you? Blessings in disguise. Do you mimic the other two answers?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely employee engagement. I actually signed us up for one of these, you know, free IM programs. I don't need to name any names, but it's allowed us to keep in touch with each other. So we're still, most of us are still working from home as much as we can, and we can just sit there and like type, you know, and have these group chats, and it's like being in, you know, the 90s chat room. But we have offices in Grand Rapids, Lansing, and Detroit. So it's kind of funny because actually one of our Detroit employees said, oh, this is kind of cool because now I can like hear what it's like and hear the conversations of what happens in the Grand Rapids office that, you know, she's not usually a part of. So definitely that connection is there. It's been really kind of cool to just be able to keep in touch. Like you're saying, like just sort of learn about each other that you wouldn't normally sort of bother with because you're too busy working. And now we're working from home. We've got more time. You know, we've shared pictures of all of our fur baby coworkers and everything. And then the other thing too is that's nice for our staff is that we've been doing a lot of online training. And again, maybe you wouldn't find time except for maybe during the summer, but most of our staff has found something that I wanted to learn more about this. And so they're going and doing these classes that are free. I think most of them are free online. And it's going to be great for them to just like get up to date with more of the new equipment, learn stuff that they weren't as familiar with. So that's actually working out really nice.
Great. I was gonna say, no one says, you know what, let's take a month. Everyone would love to have a month off and not have to think about physically like doing the activities that they normally have to do and give yourself thought time. My grandmother, who's a former kindergarten teacher, she said that the best creativity happens after boredom has overtaken. And I find that very intriguing in today's world. So I would love to hear from each of you real quick. Are there companies, organizations, brands, just people in the social world, email, wherever, that are doing engagement with their audience really well? It might be yours, it might be someone else. I'm just curious who you would recommend people go check out because they're doing a really great job. Does anyone come to mind as I ask that question? And I'll start with Keri, just because we'll start there.
Tiberius Images.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
My business partner Jamie and I were just talking this morning. Russ, you're doing a really great job on keeping all of your your social media engaged. And you know, it's funny because now we have all the time in the world to engage, and yet we haven't really pushed that out too much. So that's our next task on this during our downtime is to really engage in that. But Russ, you're doing a great job.
Wow, that was literally not why I want to ask the question. I'm genuinely curious who else I should go look at and see what they're doing. So, but I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Mary, how about yourself? Anybody that you're following that just you're enjoying seeing on social or on email or whatever?
I wouldn't say there's one that I'm following, but I love seeing the companies that are going above and beyond like what they normally do, like the breweries and distilleries that are making hand sanitizer, and people that are making, you know, masks and stuff for medical use. Like that's the kind of stuff that I'm impressed with right now, and I enjoy seeing, and is how the community is helping each other out. I think that's really, really cool how everybody's coming together.
Beautiful. That's great. Alanna, how about yourself? Anybody that you're following that you know is enjoyable?
Enjoyable, huh? That's a good question. To be honest with you, I am doing my best to try to stay off social media.
Fair enough.
Because it consumes so much, and I'm trying to take this time to really focus in on family and myself and other things. I do know, just because I'm close to it, Whitecaps is doing a pretty good job, some virtual fantasy baseball stuff on Twitter. It was National Puppy Day the other day, and we're a dog-friendly office, so like 3 or 4 of our coworkers just have new puppies, and so those were broadcast out. So they're really trying to take some fun aspect with it. In terms of, you know, COVID-related, meeting-related, MPI is pretty good resource. MPI.org / I think it's trusted resource. They have a page dedicated to meetings and events and what's going on, and it gives you educational content. It gives you webinars, so education so that you can grow yourselves. It's how to turn your meeting virtually when you weren't expecting to do that. So there's some step-by-step guides there, but then also updating what's happening in the industry. What packages are available for small businesses, for independent planners, that kind of stuff. So it's just kind of a one catch-all for everybody if they're looking for anything related to COVID-19.
Yeah, I can definitely mimic that. I'm on the email list for MPI, and it's definitely been ongoing communication with resources and just what ongoing status updates, which has been great. So
Yeah.
I definitely can second that information. So so I appreciate that. So last question is, what do you want the world to know about, like, what's your main framework? If you have a kind of a last thought, last statement that you want to get out to the world, not necessarily your customers or your clients, but just people in general, what would that be? And Alanna, I'd love to just finish with your thoughts first.
Yeah, so I'm taking the approach that we need to be a beacon of hope during this time. Don't get stuck in the day-to-day doom and gloom of the numbers that are coming out every day. We need to look for the positive that's happening. The companies that are switching their business models and taking on new products, those that are collaborating together, the good in the world that's happening. I think we need to make sure that we focus on that. And then also on the same token, we need to be that good. So how can we go out and help others during this time of need?
Beautiful. Love it. Mary, how about yourself? Last thoughts that you want to get out and let people know about what you're thinking about at the moment?
I totally agree with Alanna that we're trying not to focus too heavily on the doom and gloom, because you see so much. I mean, I'm sure everybody here was inundated with those emails for the first week. That was like, you know, the response to COVID-19 and what we're doing. And it's like, we're over that. Like, we're still, you know, in this shutdown, but we don't want to dwell on it and make it seem like it's, you know, like the end of the world and doors have all closed. So definitely looking towards that light at the end of the tunnel, trying to make the most of the time that we do have at home, and, you know, enjoying the employee engagement, working with each other, this kind of thing. And again, it's the summer. We're going to be rocking and rolling this summer. So we're looking forward to.
Yeah, for sure. So last, Keri, started with you. We'll end with your thoughts. I'm curious, what do you want the world to know in terms of how you see things as a small business owner right now?
Yeah, I'm echoing what the other two have said. We're excited to get back into this. It feels like a little bit of a hiccup to be at a standstill right now, but we're willing to be flexible. We're excited about just using this time to like really get creative and coming up with new ways and new solutions and different ways that our business can stay busy during this time of pause, whether that means internally we're working on inventory or coming up with some new plans, but also encouraging other people to do the same. And let's collaborate. Let's get our ideas out and let's like make some big, awesome things come about. So we're excited.
That's great. I appreciate it. And it's, I appreciate the time from all three of you. Obviously you got other things going on, children all at home with you. So I wholeheartedly appreciate your perspective and your wisdom. The thing I just want to end with is I keep the analogy I keep using is that the world's kind of like a rubber band right now. It's being pulled, the tension is building in one direction, but eventually it's going to get released and it's going to go the other way, and we're going to have a boom because of it. And it's interesting to hear all three of you, though you didn't say it that way. You said summer's going to be busier, the fall is going to be busier. Things aren't canceling, they're just moving. And so it's very interesting to hear you say that. So I thoroughly appreciate your time, your energy, your effort. If you have other thoughts, I'd love to hear them. Hopefully we can continue the conversation. I think we're going to see a bunch of street parties in May, and once the restrictions are lifted, everybody's going to be like, we need to get outside. We've been outside walking with our kids and our dogs and all stuff. Now we just need a reason to like put a table out with some linens. Keri, maybe we'll call you and just have a big old street party somewhere to celebrate. And I feel like there's going to be a grand reopening almost from everyone who's kind of sitting back, doing, all just sitting around like we are right now. As you said, Keri, it's a hiccup, in the calendar year. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens. And again, appreciate your time. Thanks so much. Have a great rest of your day.